It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. The Dep Lewis Show. It's the Dep Lewis Show. Welcome to the Dep Lewis Show, episode 107. This is your host, Dep Lewis, and today is Sunday, December 15th, 2024. A great day for a podcast about video games and more. And that is what I am here to do. So, welcome to the show. This is a night episode of Dep Lewis Show. I'm recording it later on in the day because I went to the Panthers game today, the Panthers versus the Cowboys. And at the end of the show, in the miscellaneous talk section, we're going to get into the result of that and my whole experience and how it went over there watching the Carolina Panthers. But this is mainly a video game show, so that is the main thing we're going to talk about today. So, hope you're doing great out there in the world. Hope it's been a good week for you. Hope you've been watching some sports today. Maybe you hit some parlays. Maybe you won some fantasy. It's fantasy playoffs if you're playing some fantasy football. And just hope you had a great week. Maybe you had some time off work. Maybe you ate something good. Maybe you had a great time. And I just thank you for being here for the Dep Lewis Show. So first order of business is to ask you to follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. Twitch.tv/DepLewisShow is a great place to follow. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, Patreon.com/DepLewisShow is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. Then also Venmo at DepLewisShow is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. So for today's show, we have three sections as always. The first section, I'll tell you about what video games I've been playing since I've last talked to you on this microphone. And I have one that is a new game to me, so I'm going to tell you about that. Now, the mid section of the show is the middle section where I tell you about what's going on around the video game world. So the mid section this week is going to be all about the Game Awards. Got a whole lot of information from there, a whole lot of announcements, releases, things to talk about, and then they have the actual Game Awards. So we're going to talk about all of that in the middle section. So, really look forward to that. And the third section is the miscellaneous talk section where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to get into the worldwide world of sports as I always do. Talk about my favorite teams and talk about me going to the football game today to watch the Carolina Panthers. So that is the plan. So now you know what the plan is. And let's get into the show. So let's talk about what I've been playing. So the first thing I want to tell you about is I've been playing a little bit of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The new game just released, I think maybe a week or so ago. I'm playing this on Game Pass. I paid for a month of Game Pass. So that is that's a great way to play it, I would say. You have to pay for the premium tier of Game Pass, but you can play this and download it right now. So I started it out. The graphics are immediately noticeable that they're very good. The game looks great. I've liked not using a gun so far, so there's other options to do for combat and things like that. So I haven't even used a gun in my couple hours of gameplay so far. The voice acting is really cool. The character, I guess it's Troy Baker doing Indiana Jones, and it's a really great impression, and it sounds really spot on. It's just a great rendition, and all the other voices I've heard so far have been pretty unique and well done too. So there was some high level video game stuff going on here. The in-game models look great, and there's cool museum stuff going on. The initial story setup's cool. It's basically something gets stolen, and Indy has to go down and start chasing him, and then there's all sorts of things going to happen from there. But that's kind of the basis of the story. He's a professor at a school. He's had this long history of going to collect things all across the world, and someone comes in and snatches something that he doesn't want them to steal. So that is the basis of the game. It's more stealthy. It's more adventure-like. It's in first-person mode when you're walking around. So that's been something I've been having to get used to myself. Not having played a first-person game in a while. This game will switch perspective sometimes, though. It'll switch into third-person for platforming modes and like climbing up a wall. I guess that you'll sometimes see your characters and things like that. So I guess that's platforming too. But it's really cool. I think it's kind of a relaxing game. There's some cool like mini games it has you doing in these like really historical areas. So it's some pretty cool stuff. You can learn some stuff playing this game. It's interesting, and I think it's doing some unique stuff here. So Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, it's been a good start for me. I never know how far I'm going to get in these video games. It's something I would like to complete. I really have no gripes with it. Maybe besides it being first person, it being kind of stealthy. Those aren't my cup of tea. But there's different difficulty levels in this game, so that can help out as well. And it's been really just enjoyable. It's been fun to play. Combat's been fun, but the other exploratory sections have been fun too. I don't really have too much nostalgia or affinity for Indiana Jones in general, so this is kind of going in open-minded. I don't have any negative feelings towards Indiana Jones, but I think I just kind of missed that hype when it was back going on, like really, really heavy. So pretty great games coming to PlayStation 5 next year is the deal on this. I think I'm going to try to play as much of it as I can with my month of Game Pass, and actually have another free month that I can use as well. So I think this game seems worthy of picking up if you wanted to. If you didn't want to go the subscription route, I think it's safe to assume this game is a pretty good pickup. It's an interesting game. It's unique. I think it should be in the Game of the Year conversations possibly. It's out a little bit late, but depending on how much more I play of it, I have a couple weeks here until my Dep Lewis Show awards. Maybe it can make some noise there. So we'll see. I'm gonna see how much of it I want to play. It's been fun so far, and that's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So the other game I've been playing this week has been the other main thing I've been playing has been The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I've been making some progress here. What I want to say about this, I'm starting to feel more powerful as Geralt, feeling stronger out here. I have more things equipped. I have more slots available to put like upgrades into. I've been finding some better weapons. I've really just been kind of upgrading my character. So I've been seeing some more progress there, making me feel more powerful walking around the world. I've been making some progress story-wise. I've been doing side missions. This game has been really, really enjoyable. I kind of think maybe I've hit a impasse with this game where I'm really just super enjoying it. It's fun to go in there and pick a mission and go do it. There's some fun stuff to go along with it. Maybe you're going to protect people. Maybe you're going to have to fight people. Maybe you're going to have to bargain with somebody. One thing I wrote down is that this cool thing about this game is when you make a decision on how to act, the people don't always respond like you think they might. So like if you help someone, they might not be as thankful as you think they would be, and they might kind of be mad at you for a reason. So, and I find most stuff in this game is like that. So it's really doing a great job of, I guess, subverting your expectations. Excuse me. But then it also, sometimes we're like, okay, they're not going to do what I want, then they'll do the opposite. So I think they're doing a great job of that, and I think that is a great part of this game, besides just how good this game looks nowadays. This game is from 2015, I believe is the deal. It looks really, really amazing on these current gen consoles, and it's fun to play, and the handle's great. Roach is really cool, and I'm having some fun with the combat and the story stuff and doing all the missions. And I kind of like how straightforward the quest log is and helping you get there on the map and using your Witcher senses. I think the Witcher sense is really helpful looking at things, and I kind of think this is my lead dog for a video game right now. This is kind of the one I've been pushing at. Maybe I would love to complete this game. I'm going to say that, but I don't know. If you listen to this podcast, I have a wishy-washy history with completing video games, and I might need to be tackling this in a new way in the upcoming year. So, that's kind of the plan here for this first section. This is just kind of my journey through the video game world, what I'm playing, and that's been it for this week. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. So this has been the year of the RPG on the Dep Lewis Show. I think next year we're going to go year of the retro game, and I'm thinking maybe anything before Xbox 360 era. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. Maybe PS2, Xbox and above, but I'm going to define that more entirely before or right before the new year starts. And the other bit of news I want to tell you is the Dep Lewis Show Awards is coming at you hot. Sunday, December 29th, 2024, the last episode of the year. I'm going to tell you the best video game of the year, the best video game from our prior year, my favorite console of the year, and then I might also highlight some of my other favorite podcasts and streamers just to give you some great information to wrap up the year. So the Dep Lewis Show Awards 2024, Sunday, December 29th, 2024, the third annual Dep Lewis Show Awards, and these have been some of my favorite episodes to do each year in my history of doing the podcast. It's really fun to talk about the end of the year. It's fun to rank some things. I might do some things differently with this year's awards. I can change it up, however I want to, but I'm going to get my plan together and bring it to you on Sunday, December 29th, the Dep Lewis Show Awards 2024. You don't want to miss it. So that's going to wrap up this first section of the show. I told you about what I've been playing, and I told you about some plans going forward with my video gaming habits. And we're going to take a break. You're going to hear some music, and we're going to get into the mid-section, which is where I tell you about everything going on around the video game world that you need to know. So listen to this music and come right back. Welcome back to the mid-section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 107. This is where I'll tell you about what's going on around the video game world. And the source of all the news from this week is from the Game Awards. It was a great Game Awards 2024, hosted by Geoff Keighley. This has been the very prominent Game Awards that's been going on for a decade now, I think is what they're celebrating. So pretty exciting stuff for them. It's definitely watched by a lot of people. It gets a lot of great announcements, and that is what we're here to talk about today. So congratulations to the Game Awards 2024 for putting on a great show. It was a couple hours long. You can go watch it now if you'd like to. Go watch the video on YouTube. You can watch. I believe I watched MinMax talk over it. I think Jeff Gerstmann did a talk over as well. The Great Giant Bomb crew did the pre-show, so they were kind of out there like the red carpet, talking to people before the show. Dan Riker had a giant sandwich he was doing, and some prop comedy, and I think it was just very fun to watch. It was last Thursday night. It felt like a really great celebration of the video game world, and I tuned in. It was at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and had an extremely great time watching it. I'm hyped from some video games from it, so A+ award show, I gotta say. It was live from the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles. Joined Geoff Keighley in the video game industry for a celebration of the year's best and a look at what's next. So I want to tell you first about all the announcements and information that you want to know about upcoming video games or things that I think were really, really cool. So I'm going to go through a whole lot of video games here. There are actually more video games that they talked about than I didn't even mention. So I would really encourage you to go watch the video or go read some articles. But this is going to be a pretty concise summary of the Game Awards and everything I think is interesting. So, definitely everything I think is interesting in here, but I can't, I can't account for everybody's taste. So, go check it out on yourself. It was a really great show and enjoyable to watch. But, here's the Dep Lewis Show version of the Game Awards, what went on with it. So, here's my information. So, the first game I want to tell you about is the new game from Naughty Dog. So, Naughty Dog is one of my favorite developers of all time. Uncharted and The Last of Us. The Last of Us 2 is my favorite video game of all time. I think it's been is holding that category for 4 years now. And they have announced their new project, a new IP, a new video game from Naughty Dog, and it is called Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. And I'm going to read and tell you about what's going on with it. So they say they're back. You've been dying to know what's next for Naughty Dog, and I'm thrilled to finally be able to answer. Naughty Dog's next game is Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, currently in development for PlayStation 5 console. We've been working on this brand new adventure since 2020. This game is shaping up to be our wildest, most creative story yet. If you haven't already, check out the announcement trailer. Intergalactic stars their new protagonist, Jordan A. Munn, a dangerous bounty hunter who ends up stranded on Simperia, a distant planet whose communication with the outside universe went dark hundreds of years ago. In fact, anyone who's flown to it hoping to unravel its mysterious past was never heard from again. Jordan will have to use all her skill and wits if she hopes to be the first person in over 600 years to leave its orbit. So they're touting this as an emotional, character-driven epic journey. Narrative goals only rivaled by their gameplay ambitions, touting deepest gameplay in Naughty Dog's history. Jordan is played by Tati Gabrielle, and Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross will be scoring the game. So definitely one of the big highlights from the show is Naughty Dog's next game, and I definitely think it looks cool. I'm a little bit, maybe not sold completely on the sci-fi aspect of it, but I have 98% trust in Naughty Dog that I think it's going to be a cool game. I think the main character looks cool. I just have a little bit of apprehension, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I've liked the previous two series so much, and I think Ellie's one of my favorite video game characters. Like I said, Last of Us is my favorite video game, so following that up is going to be tough just from me personally, but I think it's cool they're doing a new stab at a series. They're creating new characters. I think the main character looks cool. I think she's a cool looking bounty hunter, and I'm going to kind of trust that I'm going to enjoy this, but I have a little bit of apprehension on it, but I think it's also, from like past history of when I see something and feel like I don't fully understand what's going on with it, sometimes that is a good thing, and it's going to end up being, kind of something great. So I think this game does have a little bit of mystery around it still. I don't think we know a ton of information about it. So I'm actually, I definitely am hopeful that it's going to be really fun, and this will be something I'm going to play. 100% of the chance I'm going to play. 100% chance I'm going to play this game because it's by Naughty Dog. But I'm just not going to, put the cart before the horse and before I actually play this, because especially coming after Last of Us 2, which I think is amazing. So what else do I want to say about this? They have some product placement in here of brands. They have the Porsche logo on the starship or the fighter ship that Jordan's riding around in. She's wearing Adidas shoes. I think there's going to be some other things like that. There's some other prominent actors in here. So there are definitely, having the budget here. You just want to see a game that's going to be fun to play. And they show a little bit of gameplay at the end where Jordan is fighting, I can't help but I'm saying that. Is that? Yeah, Jordan A. Munn. Jordan's fighting like a kind of a robot-looking guy, definitely taller than her, kind of bigger than her, and she's fighting it with like a sword. It kind of looks like a lightsaber. Lightsaber kind of looks like a sword, but this is more of like a, like a traditional sword you would see, but it's like a laser kind of thing. So I wonder if the combat's going to be some type of, I just wonder how, Souls-like it'll be in combat-wise and precise, or is it going to be more like The Witcher, like I'm playing? So I don't know. I really enjoyed the shooting aspect of Last of Us. I think I really did enjoy that. Uncharted, I like the shooting aspect. Red Dead 2, I like the shooting aspect. I think a little bit of the sword play is something that I'm not always into, so I think that's a little bit of a apprehension here too. But I am playing The Witcher 3 right now and enjoying that. So my taste could be evolving or changing over time. But I'm just excited to see Naughty Dog's new game. I'm going to be excited for any bit of information we get from this. I think you should go play their old games, and I'm just excited about it. One of my favorite developers is releasing a new game, and it has some mystery around it, and it looks really, really cool, and it's called Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, the new game from Naughty Dog. So, I'm going through all the cool announcements and information we got from the Game Awards 2024 that took place last week. So, the next thing we got a 6-minute trailer for was The Witcher 4, something that was announced recently that was in development by CD Projekt Red. It's like officially been announced. We get a 6-minute trailer featuring Ciri. Ciri is going to be the protagonist of this game. The release date is TBD. It's running on Unreal Engine 5. This is the planned first installment of a new trilogy and set after the events of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So no more Geralt as the main character, but we're going to be playing Ciri. She's gotten a little bit older. She looks super cool. Playing as Ciri in Witcher 3 is, you play as her a little bit in there so far early in the game. And I really, really enjoyed that section. I kind of hope I get to play some more of her in Witcher 3, but I don't know if I do. And Witcher 4, playing as Ciri, it would be exactly what I would want. So I'm going to, have a goal to hopefully finish Witcher 3, and we'll be excited and ready for Witcher 4. This is one of the cooler trailers from the show. Really, really just great, the things that were going on in the trailer were really cool there, like a human sacrifice thing that doesn't take place, and Ciri kind of saves her, and the town's kind of does something else, and another situation where she's trying to do the right thing, feels like it's kind of the right choice, and then people aren't even thankful for it. So that's kind of a little bit of a theme, I guess, going through The Witcher, that you don't always know what you're going to expect based on your actions, and I guess that's just kind of a real life kind of thing too. But Witcher 4 looks amazing. All these first ones in here in the order of this are, I'm most excited for. So if you want to go, not watch the entire show, if you want to watch what I think was extra cool, it's going to be these first few games I'm telling you about. So Witcher 4, go watch that trailer. All right, the next thing that was announced, and this show really had some super cool announcements and things that really just like hit, pulling at my heartstrings as a video gamer. And they announced an Okami sequel. Can you believe that? Okami from the PS2, one of the last games released on the PS2. Amaterasu, the fire wolf running through. It's kind of like a Zelda-like, just super cool. The art style is one of one. It's super unique. The world is extra cool, and the main character, Amaterasu, is super awesome. So this is Hideki Kamiya's studio's new game. Kamiya Clover Studio is the name of the new studio. The previous studio, I believe, was called Clover Studio, but now this one's called Clover. So I think there might have been a closure and a reopening of the studio, but Hideki Kamiya has been at the lead, I think, each time. So this is Hideki is a Japanese video game designer and director. Began his career in 1994 with Capcom, where he directed Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, and Okami. So, that's a legendary resume of video games right there, and he's going to have his hand in making Okami sequel. I don't know if it's called Okami 2. I think it was called Okami sequel in the reveal, but it was just really an amazing trailer. They had a full orchestra playing before the trailer was released, and it was just kind of a beautiful moment. So I think they really ran the gamut here from everything they're doing in the Game Awards. And an Okami sequel is coming. That game is actually $4.99 on the digital storefronts right now, I believe, and I actually ordered a physical copy. I think it was $14.99 from GameStop, and that is coming in the mail. So I don't own a copy of this. I played it back on the PS2 when it came out. I think I might have played it on the Wii even. I think there was I think I have that written here. So if you don't know about Okami at all, it was originally released in 2006 in Japan and North America for PS2. The port for Wii was developed and released in 2008, developed by Clover Studio and published by Capcom. Clover was closed a few months after the release, so there was the history on that. One of the last PS2 games released before the release of the PS3, on sale right now. Like I mentioned, it's normally $19.99, so still a great value and a great price on this game if you have to pay full price. Take on the role of Amaterasu, the Japanese sun goddess who inhabits the form of a legendary white wolf, on a quest to defeat Orochi, an 8-headed demon and tyrannical monster responsible for turning the world of Nippon into a ruined wasteland. So the teaser trailer was a teaser of Amaterasu running through a field towards the horizon, one of the coolest art styles you will ever lay eyes upon. And Okami sequel, no release date or window announced, but something that just kind of one of those things you wouldn't expect. So out of left field, coming with the Okami sequel, and what a beautiful, wonderful, exciting, amazing announcement from the Game Awards. So let's keep getting into it. There's more of those. There's more of them. These next few games are still ones I'm super excited about. This next one, Elden Ring. You ever heard of it? Has a new game coming out called Elden Ring Nightrein. The release date is 2025, they're saying. It's for Xbox One, PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PS4 and PS5. I believe that is correct about Xbox One, so it's actually going back again. Developer From Software, publisher Bandai Namco. It is a co-op action survival game, so co-op. So I believe this full game is based around the co-op. It's the difference here. So this is a standalone adventure within the Elden Ring universe, crafted to offer players a new gaming experience by reimagining the game's core design. Join forces with other players to take on the creeping night and the dangers within, featuring 3-player co-op. Take command of uniquely skilled heroes, each possessing their own abilities and distinct flair. While individually formidable, their skills create power synergies when they unite as a team. Overcome a relentless environmental threat that sweeps through a land that changes between each game session and defeat the magnificent boss of that night. So it does say a land that changes between each game session, so there could be some procedurally generated stuff going on here. I think there is still some mystery shrouding this game of what's going to be going on with it. They have some cool traversal things. You basically have like a glider like in Wind Waker where you're coming down off of like a dragon. A dragon or kind of a flying beast can scoop you up and fly you over water or fire, whatever it may be. So there's some like cool traversal stuff going on here. And then the co-op aspect of it. So, base Elden Ring had co-op. I think it was only you can summon like a friend or whatever to come in and help you with the boss, or it would section off certain areas, I believe. I don't know if you could do the full game, but this is going to be a full game based around Elden Ring, I guess, combat and playing co-op. So I think that's a really, really cool idea. I think this game is going to be super successful, and I just don't think I'm not much of a co-op gamer these days, or multiplayer gamer, and Elden Ring's a little bit in the category for me where it's too difficult, but it's something that I have, something I've played a lot of actually, and I respect it and think it's super cool. So I was excited to see that, and I'm excited to see it's a new take on it a little bit. And since they just released the Shadow of the Erdtree this prior year, so a lot of Elden Ring content out there, and they're going a little bit of a new direction. So interested to see how that's going to go. So Elden Ring Nightrein, releasing in 2025 is what they're saying. All right, what else we got? Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is a brand new side-scrolling entry to the Ninja Gaiden series from the team behind Blasphemous. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound redefines the classic platformer saga in a spectacular, thrilling, and challenging ninja adventure. The release date is 2025 is what they're saying. Developer of the Game Kitchen, publisher Dotemu. Our story begins when Ryu Hayabusa journeys to America to honor his father's will. While he is away, the barrier between the human and the demon world suddenly shatters, unleashing a terrifying army upon the Hayabusa village, which now faces an unprecedented threat in Ryu's absence, or Ryu, I guess. To stand against his new threat, Kenji Mozu, a young ninja from the Hayabusa village, rises to the challenge. So they're combining old school feelings with modern precision is what they're saying. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound retains the pick up and play action of the classic titles while introducing new layers of depth. Features impeccable mechanics that are easy to learn but hard to truly master, inviting players to challenge the limit of their player skills to satisfy the fans of the Ninja Gaiden series. Brought to life through stunning, meticulously crafted visuals, every enemy is recreated with a level of detail that was once impossible. The brutal, nostalgia-filled aesthetic of Ninja Gaiden Ragebound pays homage to the past while pushing the boundaries of modern pixel art, making every battle a feast for the eyes. So, the art style of this one is striking and very, very cool looking, and a highlight of this game as well. And I played one of the Ninja Gaiden games on Xbox 360, I believe is the case, or I think that was my first one I ever played. It was definitely very hard, but I kind of pushed through and definitely got a little bit of a sense of why people like these games. The art style is super cool. everything about the characters is cool in the world. It's just you have to really, be good at combat, and that might not be something I'm normally good at. But this one takes it back to the original art style, so it looks kind of more like a retro game. I actually played a little bit of Ninja Gaiden on the Nintendo Switch Online. I think it's Game Boy Advance section is where you can play this, or it might have been SNES, but there's a section in there where you can play one of the older Ninja Gaiden games, and it's going to kind of be like the classic version of what this is going to be. So I think it's been a good indication. I played some of that the other day, and it was super enjoyable. These games are just kind of difficult, so that's a little bit of their MO. But Ninja Gaiden Ragebound coming in 2025, and this was a brand new announcement. It kind of kicked open the show here, and just another super cool return of a franchise. This franchise is just super cool to me. I haven't played a whole lot of games in there, but I'm just glad there's going to be a new release, and this will be something that I'm definitely interested in when it releases. All right, so we got more games. We got games on games on games on games to talk about here in this midsection. So the next one is a game called Project Robot. So this is Fumito Ueda's next game, and Project Robot is the code name. Their studio's name is Gen Design. Ueda is known for games such as Eco, and Shadow of the Colossus. The trailer for this game, Project Robot, is a person climbing a humanoid mech until they have to detach and fly away because of the overwhelming force coming at them. So you see this character scale on this giant mech. It's super cool. But the next thing you know, you think you're about to have this big, huge showdown fight. But the next thing they do, they retreat, they blast away, and that's kind of where the trailer kind of goes off into the mist or whatever it may be. Like all this fog envelops the screen, and it kind of goes away to the coming in 2025 or whatever. Actually, I'm sorry to say that there's no actually release window for this game yet. So this has basically just been announced, just letting everybody know that Ueda has a new game coming, and it's called Project Robot. Another game taking the project title was something called Project Century. And if it's not confusing enough, it's another Yakuza Like a Dragon Ryuga Gotoko studio, or I think they call it RGG a lot of time, RGG Studio, and they've revealed this game. So that, they've been really, really hot with their releases, and this is another one. It looks super cool. It's set in 1915. It's showing a tough guy walking around Japan beating people up. I think people were saying this one looks a little more gory than some of the other versions even, and looks more like you're going to be fighting with your hands, beating people up. And Project Century, I believe, is the name of this. So the Yakuza series, ever growing, has a good, it seems like a lot of those entries in the series are very good and high quality, so it's just a really cool thing that they're releasing more games. So Project Century, the new game coming from RGG Studios. I don't know if there's a release date for this one, but I actually don't think they actually put one on there. So some of these games, I don't think anything in here is too firm, but some of these would be 2025, some of these would be the years beyond. Another game that got a really cool trailer, Mafia: The Old Country. First look at this linear, narrative-driven sequel, a third-person action-adventure, period, authentic classic crime drama. It's running on Unreal Engine 5, so the graphics and the graphics and the cutscenes in this game are looking really, really cool. Summer 2025 release window confirmed. Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. Set in 1900 Sicily and takes place before all the other Mafia games in the series. Enzo is the name of the main character, so it looked cool. And like I was talking earlier, I like stories. Or like gunplay, I like cool stories in the mix. So Mafia is a series that I think I could have some liking to. I've never really played one of the original releases. I think they have a remastered version of one of them, and I think the original. I think there's a trilogy of games. I could be wrong about this one, but this is going to be the roots or the backstory, the origin of this franchise. So I think that's a cool thing. They're going back to the old country, and it looks like a very promising game. Mafia: The Old Country. All right, the next game was Gearbox Software revealed the first gameplay footage of Borderlands 4. It's going to be available on Steam, Epic Games Store, PlayStation, and Xbox. The release date of 2025, and I think it's to be announced in 2025 of when it's going to be released, or it's going to release 2025 to be decided. Borderlands 4 brings intense action, vault hunters, and billions of wild and deadly weapons to an all-new planet ruled by a ruthless tyrant. Wield powerful action skills, customize your build with deep skill trees, and dominate enemies by dynamic movement abilities. Fight solo or co-op with up to 3 players. So, Borderlands, when it released on the 360, back in the day, was super epic. It was a great game to play solo, a great game to play co-op. I think I really got into the first one and into the second one, and kind of fell off after there. So, I have a little bit of an inkling or a desire to go back to the series and play some more of it. So, something I'm interested in. I just would like to see. This is one where I would like to see the reaction, to see what people are really saying about it. You really want the gunplay to feel cool, the environments to be unique, the missions that you're doing. to be, at least a little bit interesting. But this game's mainly based around the gunplay. So if the gunplay is feeling good and the scenery and areas you're going around, I think it could have a good chance. So I think I would have a little hesitation on picking this up day one, but I do have some interest in Borderlands 4. What else are they saying? You can fight solo or co-op with up to 3 players, so another good game if you like to play some co-op. I just think some of these, I'm not really into the co-op playing that much these days. Wield powerful action skills, customize your build with deep skill trees, and dominate enemies with dynamic movement abilities. So Borderlands 4 coming in 2025, they're saying. All right, another revival of an old franchise. One I don't know too much about, but it seems very cool. Onimusha. The Way of the Sword is going to be the name of the new game. So Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Capcom is bringing this franchise back in 2026 is what they're saying, so we got to wait a little bit longer for this one. An all-new entry in the Onimusha series, which debuted in 2001. Fight through the bloodbaths of intense swordplay action, explore the historic Japanese capital of Edo era Kyoto, twisted by malevolent clouds of malice, with every stage cloaked in mystery, danger, and intrigue. Battle against monstrosities from the underworld known as Genma in a tale of dark fantasy. Follow the tale of a samurai who wields the Oni Gauntlet, a mystical artifact that grants its bearer the powers to slay Genma. Through gritty, blood-soaked brawls, he searches for his reason to fight, what fate awaits at the end of his path. So I think there's been definitely a resurgence and a lot of people into these style of games with like difficult combat. We had Ghost of Tsushima, we've had the Dark Souls series going around, we've had Sekiro, we had Elden Ring, and this is a great franchise to bring back and have some really cool combat and something that could get some old fans to be excited for this. And I think there can be a new crowd that can really be interested in this game based on people playing those games I was just mentioning. So I think this is a really smart decision to bring this franchise back, and hopefully there's got to be some sales figure. You're not going to want this, you're not going to think this is going to be the best selling game of all time, but there's got to be some good money to be made here, have a really quality release, and something that is a little bit more of a sleeper hit than like something huge like Elden Ring would be my guess. But if they can get into sleeper hit territory, I think that would be a great direction for them with this game. So Onimusha, Way of the Sword is coming out in 2026 is what they're saying. All right, something else that looks very cool, Virtua Fighter. This series is officially coming back. There's no indication of when that's going to be, but they're announcing this game's been in development. This will be the first new mainline entry in the franchise since 2006 Virtua Fighter 6. So it's been many moons since that. This is in development at the same studio, the RGG studio, the Yakuza Like a Dragon Ryo ga Gotoko studio. Hopefully I'm saying that somewhat right. The original Virtua Fighter was released in December 1993, so a pretty great resurgence. They had another whole show after the Game Awards that was going over Virtua Fighter, and I watched Jeff Gerstmann streaming over this for as long as I could stay awake, and it's looking very cool. I've had some flings with some fighting games over my years, and just haven't found one in a little bit of a while to get into. So maybe this could be the next one up to bat. It could be a really cool one. So Virtua Fighter series officially coming back. Another game that came out this year, or a game that came out this year, that is a fighting game that I tried and just really didn't get hooked to, but I can't say I gave it a great chance, and that is Tekken 8. The news here is to mention that Final Fantasy XVI's Clive Rossfield is joining Tekken 8 in December. So a little bit of crossover, mix mash, and mismatch, mixing some characters in some games. He's the final character being added to Tekken 8's Year 1 character pass. So I think Tekken 8 has been a pretty good success. I think I've heard basically only positive things about it, and having some cool characters being added to it is neat. I think Clive is a character that a lot of people liked. I don't think they really liked Final Fantasy XVI that much, but he seemed like he was a pretty cool character, and he definitely has a cool look to him. So I think he'll be fit in well with the other Tekken 8 roster. So a little bit of Tekken 8 and Final Fantasy XVI crossover news. All right, so those, I gotta say, I think that's probably where those first ones are the really heavy hitters. I would say, going back a little bit even, I would say start with Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, Witcher 4, the Okami sequel, Ninja Gaiden, Ragebound, Elden Ring, Nightrein. I'm just more interested in just because of my interest in video games. Project Robot, Project Century, maybe some Borderlands 4, maybe some Onimusha, Virtua Fighter maybe, and then now we're going to get into stuff I thought was cool. Might not be something I touch immediately, but things I'm going to have my eye on, and I want you to have your eye on as well. And some of these are brand new things, so that's pretty cool too. So this next one is a game called Dispatch. It's a narrative and dialogue-driven game that's been revealed. The cast includes people like Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, and Laura Bailey. I really couldn't place where I know her from, but I think she does some pretty iconic video game voices. Alana Pierce, who is a cool video games person, recently worked at Santa Monica Studios Sony, and now is going back to doing freelance things. So you're seeing Alana here in Dispatch, which is really, really cool. She's a fun person to follow. This game is being developed and published by Ad Hoc Studio, a superhero workplace comedy where choices matter. Manage a dysfunctional team of misfit heroes and strategize who to send to emergencies around the city, all while balancing office politics, personal relationships, and your own quest to become a hero. So you're working like in a call center or like a traffic control center where you're directing heroes to go around the world, superheroes to go around and save things and go attend to matters around the city. So a cool concept. I think something that's been done before, but not in a long time. And this seems like a really, really cool take on it. They obviously have some money going on here with getting some big time actors and voice actors and things like that. It's a cartoon art style, or like an animated art style. So it's not like necessarily character models, but they're lending their voices, getting some pretty big time voices in here, and it seems like a really cool game. So just very interesting take, and it's called Dispatch. Another game that looks interesting is a game called Split Fiction. This is by the It Takes Two developer Hazelight Studio, and they have officially revealed this game called Split Fiction. It actually has a firm release date of March 6, 2025, so that's pretty cool. It's a split-screen co-op title, like most of Hazelight Studios games, I believe, are. They're touting this to be a unique action-adventure experience that keeps you on the edge of your couch with unexpected moments. One minute you're taming adorable dragons, and the next you're fighting as cyber ninjas, escaping terrifying trolls or dodging hover cars thrown by a robotic parking attendant. It's weird, it's wild, and it's designed to be shared. Grab your co-op partner and get ready to overcome any obstacle thrown your way. So this one, It Takes Two, was a winner of the Game Awards a couple years back, a little bit contested. That was a little bit of a controversial pick, but it seems like these games are great co-op experiences, and we're seeing a lot of co-op games going on here, so I think that's just very popular at the moment, apparently, or hopefully it is. All right, so that was Split Fiction, a new game that's been revealed by Hazelight Studio. All right, we got a brand new trailer for The Outer Worlds 2, a sequel to The Outer Worlds. Confirmation that this will be released on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in 2025. It's a sequel to the award-winning first-person sci-fi RPG from Obsidian Entertainment. So, kind of think a little bit of a Mass Effect game, a little bit of Starfield, flying around the world. This one's a little more of a focus thing. It's not like a giant, I think it's a giant world, but I don't think they're touting like an endless world or anything like that. So I think it's a little bit more of a focus, one of those kind of experiences. Definitely has a cool visual thing, and if you're familiar with any of like the Fallout games or things like that, I think this will be kind of up your alley. So Outer Worlds 2, I think this is cool. This one's getting a sequel. It's been a little bit of a while since Outer Worlds' original release, so I just think a great thing. I think that game, I don't think it's sold over the moon, but I think it did really well, and they must have had kind of reasonable expectations. So I think it's just a cool example of a, maybe not all the way AAA game, but something a little bit of a tier below that is having some success and maybe seeing some sustainability. So I think that's a good thing as well. So Outer Worlds 2 got a new trailer. All right, this next game actually has Pac-Man involved, which is a little bit confusing, but it's called Shadow Labyrinth, a 2D action platformer and a genre-twisting alternate take on the iconic Pac-Man. So as the swordsman, you wake on a mysterious planet amidst some relics of wars past. To survive, you will discover secrets, consume your enemies, and grow from pretty to apex predator. So the developer is Bandai Namco Studios, being published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. The Tekken producer, Katsuhiro Harada, is on the team making this, and it's set to be released in 2025. So just super interesting, a dark take on Pac-Man. Who would have thought that would be a thing? And when they call it a genre-twisting alternate take. So this was another game that when I was first kind of watching it, you're kind of having a hard time taking it, or I was having a hard time taking in what I'm looking at. So I think that could be a kind of a cool thing. Maybe it's doing something unique, and hopefully it would be something that I look back on and be like, okay, that seems super weird, but it actually is really, really cool. I think that's just kind of something common sometimes. You'll see if something's sometimes hard to understand, sometimes that means it's like, something new and something interesting and really cool. So Shadow Labyrinth, a new 2D action platformer with a take on the iconic Pac-Man. All right, more video games. Saber Interactive officially announced Turok Origins, the new evolution of the classic dinosaur hunting franchise that first debuted on Nintendo 64 and PC in 1997. So many moons ago. This will feature third-person action instead of being a first-person shooter. So a little bit more of a Monster Hunter Worlds kind of look, or Monster Hunter look to the franchise. So I think that's a smart take on this. Turok is a little bit of a contested classic, I think, by a lot of people. I think it was definitely something just back in the N64 days, having a video game with dinosaurs in it was something that would sell very well. And I think this is probably a smart change to go to third person. Maybe make it a little, maybe make it co-op focus, or I don't know if this one's co-op as well, where you can do some type of co-op dinosaur hunting. But seems very cool, or it seems cool at least, and that is Turok Origins. This will be one I would say have some apprehension on how good it's going to be, but if they can, do something with this, I think they have a good shot at it. Is what I'm saying. All right, a couple more games here to talk about. Not too many more. But Sonic Racing CrossWorlds was a new game that was announced. It's going to be out on PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, Steam, and the Epic Game Store. Its release date is to be decided. And drift across dimensions, race across land, sea, air, space, and time. So a new Sonic kind of racing game. I think one of the Sonic prior racing games is touted as great by a lot of people. So they showed a very, very brief snippet of this game. It was just basically a quick announcement, but Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is coming at us sometime, maybe 2025, maybe beyond. All right, another game, Rematch, a soccer game made by the creators of Sifu. Slow Clap is the developer. It looks like to me like Rocket League with the actual soccer. The release date is to be decided. Control one player on your team and compete in fast-paced 5-versus-5 matches from an immersive third-person perspective. Team up with your friends and join the action. So this one definitely looks super interesting to me based on my affinity for Rocket League, but this looks a little bit like Rocket League with just actual characters. So 5-on-5 soccer, you're actually controlling just one character on the pitch, and it's arcadey and that kind of thing. So, but it looks like the controls are probably pretty precise. It just looks like kind of a cool thing. So definitely go check this out, especially if you're a sports game fan. This seems like it's going to be a cool entry just as a sports game. It's going to be like an artistic or creative iteration of a sports game. So that's something, outside of the normal structure of, EA Sports Soccer or Madden or NBA 2K. It's nice to see a little bit of a return to a smaller take on sports, and hopefully the basic gameplay in this can be fun, where this can be successful. And I think that's the hope. So Rematch is coming at some point, release date to be decided. All right, another sequel, and this one is to Slay the Spire. They have announced Slay the Spire 2. A brand new trailer was shown, releasing in 2025. It's still to be decided when, but it's going to be in early access. The iconic roguelike deck builder returns. Craft a unique deck, encounter bizarre creatures, and discover relics of immense power, and Slay the Spire 2. Developer and publisher Mega Crit. So I don't know if this has been announced. I think this has been expected. Slay the Spire 1 was a massive success, according to my brain and thoughts and memory. And Slay the Spire 2 is coming out sometime in 2025 in early access, so check out for that. All right, Dave the Diver has a new expansion set to arrive late 2025 titled In the Jungle. Dave the Diver is the casual single-player adventure RPG featuring deep-sea exploration and fishing during the day and sushi restaurant management at night. So this new expansion titled In the Jungle, I wonder if you're going to be exploring a jungle instead of the ocean. So maybe that would be the change here with Dave the Diver, and I think that could be a cool expansion in the Dave the Diver universe. Maybe he can be, Dave the safari host or whatever it may be. But a new expansion coming for Dave the Diver, a very cool game, and something that you should go check out. All right, a couple more games here. Palworld has the next expansion titled Faybreak will release on very, very shortly on December 23rd, 2024. So I believe that was the announcement here. Pocket Pair revealed a new trailer. It was the largest. This will be the largest and most mysterious island added to Palworld so far. So go check that out if you're interested in the Palworld, like a lot of people are. That is what, if you don't know, everyone kind of calls Pokemon with guns, or it looks like it's Pokemon with guns. All right, a couple quick announcements. The Last of Us Part 2 is coming to PC April 3rd, 2025, so early next year. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming to PC January 23rd, 2025, less than a year from its launch on PS5. So this is a continuing trend of seeing games from PlayStation 5 that are console exclusives, maybe for a little bit of time going to PC. I don't really have too much of a gripe with it. I like kind of the options, especially if you're a PC gamer and wanted to play these games, or if you had a Steam Deck, which I would like to have a Steam Deck one day. It could be a place where I play these games in the future. So I a little bit, don't like the exclusives going everywhere, but I think the options are nice ultimately. And if you have more places to play cool games, I think that's overall okay with me. Who am I to be mad at that? So both of those games are coming to PC early next year, Last of Us Part 2 and the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So Last of Us Part 2, my favorite game ever. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a game I've been playing this year and really enjoy, and Final Fantasy VII, the remake, the original, or the first part of the remake, as one, an amazing game too that I finished this year. All right, so that was everything from the Game Awards 2024. So just tons of announcements, tons of cool things to watch. Please go watch the award show if you'd like to go watch. This is a pretty good summary of everything going on, but of course, seeing all the visuals and things like that will be a little more, just you'll be able to tell what games you're into. But hopefully, that was a good explanation of all the games from the show, and hopefully, a lot of things to put on your calendar and be excited for. So we'll probably talk about a lot of these in the future of the Dep Lewis Show and other episodes when more information comes out or they get closer. So, just really, really thankful for all the great information and cool things to talk about, and just a great week to be a video gamer, and a great week to talk about them here on this Dep Lewis Show. So the last thing I want to mention from the Game Awards were some of their winners. So let's just talk about a few of those. So I didn't write down all of them, but I just got some categories that I thought are interesting. So Best Narrative, Best RPG, and Best Art Direction all went to Metaphor ReFantazio. So something I played this year, something I've enjoyed. I think the art style is super cool. I think the writing and the characters and all that kind of stuff's cool. I think a little bit of the day structure in this game and maybe in games in general kind of stresses me out and confuses me. So something that I need to push forward through or try out some more in the future. But Metaphor is something I've played maybe 10, 15 hours. There's a demo available if you want to play that and try it out first. Your progress carries over to the game. So Metaphor ReFantazio has been a success. Another game where a name comes out, you think it's kind of weird, but I think it's completely popped into the zeitgeist or normal culture of people knowing what Metaphor ReFantazio is, and it's taken on a life of its own. So I think that's as good as you can hope for with some of these things. All right, another game that got won Best Game Direction, Best Action Adventure, and Best Family Game was Astrobot. So pretty cool. Astrobot also has a winter update available right now, a new level filled with presents and special bots. I love Astrobot. It's definitely in contention for a Dep Lewis Show award and an amazing video game. So something else that won some awards was Balatro, and it won the Best Independent Game, and it won the Best Debut Indie Game, Balatro. There's also a new update out for Balatro right now, where you can have card backs now from more games: Don't Starve, Warframe, Potioncraft, Cult of the Lamb, Enter the Gungeon, Divinity, Original Sin 2, Shovel Knight, and 1000 Times Resist. We did not, and that's available right now. We did not actually get to see Local Thunk like I thought I was going to get to see. He's apparently liking to shroud himself in some mystery, so I can definitely respect that. As someone who does an audio-only podcast, I think it's a cool thing. And he was, for whatever reason, he wasn't at the award show, or he was there. He asked not to be on the camera. Who knows? He had other people accept his award, but he was tweeting, being very excited, and you could tell he was just super excited and thankful for winning these awards, and maybe a little bit unexpected even. So really cool things going on. And then the Game of the Year winner for the Game Awards was Astrobot. So we talked about that Astrobot won a few other categories, but Team Asobi, I think it's a 60-something person studio over there in Japan, made an amazing game, and I really can't argue with that too much. I think it was a wonderful game, and I'm wonderful now if we'll see Astrobot coming to PC at some point. Now putting those dots together, maybe we will. Maybe that's going to be some big news coming out sometime next year. But for their Game of the Year, Astrobot was the winner. Other games in the category were Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. So they put on a wonderful show. A lot of cool announcements, a lot of cool awards given, a lot of cool, shout out to Jeff Keighley, shout out to Sydney Goodman. She was the host of the show at the beginning, and she did it last year. And I just remember last year thinking she did a great job, and she did a great job again this year. It was cool seeing Giant Bomb involved with it. It was cool watching MinMax stream over it and Jeff Gerstmann talk over it as well. And just a really amazing night of video games, and just something I'm super thankful for. And I think you should, should go check it out for yourself if you'd like to. But that's all the information from the Game Awards that I thought was cool and interesting and wanted to tell you about this week. And just go video games. So we talked about all the games announcements from the Game Awards. I'm going to go through them one more time real quick. Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, Witcher 4, the Okami sequel, Elden Ring Nightrein, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, Project Robot, Project Century, Mafia the Old Country, Borderlands 4, Onimusha Way of the Sword, Virtua Fighter, Tekken 8, Dispatch, Split Fiction, The Outer Worlds 2, Shadow Labyrinth, Turok Origins, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, Rematch, Slay the Spire 2, Dave the Diver, Palworld, The Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then we talked about their awards and how Astrobot won the Game of the Year for the Game Awards 2024. So, shout out Jeff Keighley, and what a great time. All right, so that wraps up all the video game talk from this week, and that is going to wrap up the midsection of the show. And we're going to come back for the final section, the miscellaneous talk section, after this music. And I'm going to tell you about what's going on around the worldwide world of sports and tell you about my experience at the Panthers game today. and tell you about what the Panthers did out there on the field at Bank of America Stadium. So come back and listen to that after this music. Welcome back to the final section of Dep Lewis Show, episode 107, the Miscellaneous Talk section, where I can talk about anything I want to outside the video game world. So I want to get into the worldwide world of sports and talk about all my favorite teams and what's going on with them. So the Carolina Panthers, who I've been alluding to a little bit throughout this podcast, have played a game today, and they also played one last week that we haven't talked about. So I recorded the podcast today after today's game, so we have 2 games to catch up on. So last week they played at Philly. The result was the Panthers lost 16-22. Bryce was 19 of 34, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 sack for 7 yards, 7 carries for 29 yards as well. So he played a pretty good game for Bryce. Chuba had 26 carries, 92 yards and a tud, also 4 catches for 15 yards. Jonathan Brooks, he's the rookie running back. I thought he maybe had a whole injury year, but the rookie running back from Texas, second-round draft pick, has torn his ACL again in this game for the second straight season. So, T's and P's out there to Jonathan Brooks. That's a really sad thing. He was definitely upset about it when this happened, and just a terrible thing to see because he looked pretty explosive. I was excited to see him play with Chuba Hubbard, and we're going to have to, it's going to be a tough road back for Jonathan Brooks. So, everyone put him in your T's and P's for sure. So this was last week's game. Thielen had 9 catches for 102 yards. Xavier Legette had 2 catches for 39 yards. He had a really big drop in the fourth quarter that was tough. Could have won the game pretty much. David Moore had 2 catches for 25 yards. Josie Jewell had 10 total tackles and 1.5 sacks. Ashawn Robinson had 5 total tackles and 1.5 sacks. Pinheiro was 1 of 1 on field goals and 1 of 2 of extra points. And then this week, the Panthers played in Charlotte versus Dallas. The Panthers were actually favored in this game. The sportsbooks had them up by 1.5 earlier in the week. Had them up by 2.5, I think, before the game started. And the Panthers lost to the Cowboys 14-30. The Panthers were barely in this game, maybe for about half of it. And it was just kind of a sloppy football game all around. The Panthers' offense really couldn't get going. The defense wasn't really doing anything, kind of getting torched. And a little bit of a tough watch. Just kind of the whole team really wasn't clicking that much. And wasn't a great Bryce game. He was 19 of 28 for 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and 6 sacks for 44 yards. The Cowboys are really bringing the pressure and really kind of disrupted things. Bryce, I could have guessed he had more than 6 sacks, but 6 sacks is pretty atrocious. Jalen Coker had the big play of the day. He had an 83-yard touchdown catch from Bryce Young. Had a lot of yards after catch on that one too. Just a really nice throw and catch and a great play. It was very exciting, kind of right before the end of the second half. Kind of got the Panthers back in there, but then the Panthers, once the second half started, they came out with an immediate turnover, and the game kind of fell apart after that. But Jalen Coker had 4 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. Thielen caught 5 for 51, and Josie Jewell led again with 10 total tackles. So that's been said a whole lot this year. He's been a bright spot. I know he was hurt for a little bit, but when he's been on the field, he's been producing. The Panthers are now 3-11, and next week they play the Cardinals at home in Charlotte, then at the Bucs and at the Falcons to close the season. So pretty much getting close to the end of the season here for the Panthers. I don't know if they're going to get over their win total. I think 4.5 is what FanDuel had it set at before the beginning of the season. And I don't know if they're going to, they might snag one more win, but that might be about it. So our friend of the show, Pat, might actually hit his under on that bet, on that troll bet he made. But it was fun going to the game today. It was definitely cold out there. It started raining towards the end of the game, which wasn't nice, and it was a cold rain, so not feeling good, but it was a fun time at the stadium. Had fun watching the Panthers. Really enjoyed watching J.C. Horn. It was cool to see CeeDee Lamb playing. He was really, really playing great. Parsons was playing great for the Cowboys as well. And just kind of wish I could have seen a better game. I don't think I've seen the Panthers win in person yet, and I don't think I've seen a good Bryce game in person. So I was kind of hoping to see a competitive game, and really just wasn't the case today. So Panthers have definitely had some moral victories this year, but as you can see, they've only won 3 games. I guess it's putting them in a good position for a draft pick, but we'd like to see some wins be put together. But I think there's been some progress made. I still think Bryce is the guy. That's where I would say I'm at this moment in time, and just hopefully, next year they can build the roster up some through the draft, maybe sign a free agent, and maybe make some a little bit more of a ding in the win column next year would be the hope. But I had a fun time seeing the Panthers. That's why the podcast is late today. Cowboys fans were turned up all around the city today playing music about from 11 to about 6:30. So had to wait to record so I could actually get some good sound. And now the Now the streets are all quiet out there, so recording over here at the night show, and it's been pretty fun. So go Panthers. It was fun to watch it today. I don't think I'm going to go watch the Cardinals next week, maybe, unless I can get an inexpensive ticket, but might be a little bit more of the same. I don't know if they'll actually start sitting players at some point. I don't really know, but going to consider it because it's the last home game of the season. And, just shout out to the Panthers for being my team. All right, some other quick sports news. Other teams I follow, the Charlotte Hornets played last Sunday at the Pacers. The Hornets actually won 113-109, which I think ended kind of a losing streak for them. And then the Hornets played Friday night at the Bulls. They lost 95-109. And then next week, the Hornets play Philly at home versus Philly. I think that's tomorrow night. Then at Washington and at Philly. So Hornets had a little bit of a break this week and are back with 3 games in the upcoming week. Hawks, last Sunday they played Denver. The Hawks lost 111-141 in a blowout. Wednesday at the Knicks, the Hawks won 108-100. So a great thing to see. The Hawks winning in New York. They're kind of a little bit of their rival. And then Saturday in the midseason tournament, I think this was the semifinals at the Bucks. The Hawks lost 102-110. So a pretty close game until the last few minutes in the fourth quarter, and the Bucks kind of blow them out. But the Hawks are really rolling, and it would have been nice to see them get in there for the championship. But Hawks have been in a little bit of a good spot. Jalen Johnson's looking like he's going to be an all-star, and having Trey back, dishing the rock, and they seem like they're having some fun playing together. DeAndre Hunter could be 6th man of the year, and some really great stuff. Clint Capella got blocked by Giannis, a pretty bad one at the end of that game, and the Greek Freak is definitely very good at basketball. The Hawks next week play the Spurs in Memphis. It's only 2 games for them, and that's about all the basketball news I have for you. So maybe go to some more Hornets games before the season's over. I know they play the Hawks in March. That's the next one I'm definitely going to, but they play Philly tomorrow. Maybe once the football season's over, then I'll be a little more tempted to go to some more common occurrences of some Hornets games. But that's all the basketball news. Last thing of the day, baseball news. The Atlanta Braves are my team. It's the off season. I've been saying for a lot of weeks now since the offseason started that the Braves should sign Max Fried, and they have not done so. So I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. The Braves season starts on March 27, 2025, so that's the day I want to make everyone aware of each week because it's the day I am looking forward to at the Padres. That's when the Braves season starts, March 27, 2025. And the worst news of the baseball week, something I guess I've already kind of gotten over a little bit, Max Fried signs with the Yankees, 8 years, $218 million. I don't think the Braves are ever going to pay him anything close to this. I think Max Fried is worth it. I've been saying on this podcast week after week and maybe year over year now that the Braves should pay Max Fried for all the reasons, but they didn't do it. He's going to the Yankees. He got a huge bag of money. I don't blame him one bit, and I think the Braves are cheapskates a little bit here. They're not really in the upper echelon of spending. They have a lot of players under great contracts right now with extendos, but they have not really made splashes in free agency going to get these big name people. I don't really feel like they're in the mix on any of these people for the most part, and it is a sad thing, especially when Max Fried is such a great pitcher, left-hander, right in his prime, and could be an ace and number 2, just a great person in your clubhouse, just seemingly a cool guy. And I'm going to miss you, Max Fried. So congratulations to getting $218 million, but I'm going to miss Max Fried. So no moves for the Braves. They haven't really done anything. They got De La Cruz, the outfielder. I think he was last with Pittsburgh today. I think he was only batting like 200, but he's going to be another addition for the outfield. I think his contract was not guaranteed. It's just a 1-year thing. So I think that's an okay flyer to get somebody in the mix, especially if they're not going to spend any money on some big-time free agents, which doesn't seem like they're going to. So other big news, Juan Soto signs with the Mets, the stinking Mets, 15 years, $765 million. So I think that's the biggest contract in all of history. Pretty amazing stuff. I don't really fault the Braves for not paying anything like that, but they want to shell out $218 million. Come on, these other teams are paying almost 3 times that in these salaries. You got to pay up sometimes. These people got big pockets, big money. You got to pay to keep these people around, and you can't just always hope that you're going to live on a hope and a prayer from someone over exceeding. You got to sometimes pay these big time people, just like we saw the Dodgers paid Freddie Freeman, they paid Shohei, they got a championship. We saw the Yankees paying people, getting closer to the championship, and the Rangers, that kind of thing. The Rangers paid Nathan Eovaldi 3 years, $75 million, so a great thing there. Eovaldi was rumored to go to other teams, possibly even the Braves, but they kept him at the Rangers. They paid up, and keeping a really quality pitcher on your roster. So I think that's a good thing. He's a known commodity. He's not ancient. He's not really, really old. 3 years, 75 is going to be a good deal if he, consistently performs. The Red Sox get Crochet, I think it's Crochet from the White Sox for a prospect haul. So they've been trying to trade him away at the deadline for at least one season now, pretty hard. But he gets to go to the Red Sox. It's a great pickup with the Red Sox. He seems like a really great young pitcher. I think they have to sign him to a deal, or he's under a good deal right now. But that one's been in the works for a while, and he gets a haul of picks from the Red Sox to the White Sox. So a trade between the Sox, and it seems like that one's going to help both sides because the White Sox are really at a bottom of being good, so they really need to rebuild. The other news, the Nationals get first in the draft, most likely to take Ethan Holiday, the infielder and son of Matt Holiday. The brother, Jackson Holiday, made his MLB debut in 2024 for the Orioles. So some pretty great times going on for the Holiday family, especially around this holiday season maybe. And the last bit of MLB news for the week were the Cubs trade for Kyle Tucker from the Astros. So that was a little bit of a surprise for me, but Tucker is only under contract through 2025, so a great pickup there for the Cubs. I'm a Kyle Tucker fan. I think he had a little bit of ups and downs last season, but I think he also had some portions of last season where he was going scorched earth, and that's what the Cubs are banking on there. So maybe the Astros have other people to pay, but Cubs get Kyle Tucker. So a lot of good sports stuff going on, a lot of good baseball stuff going on, and hopefully next week can report to you some good Braves news. That would be nice. Maybe get some good signings or a trade or something that happens that is exciting for the Braves, because they haven't really had that move this offseason at all. It's been a little bit sad, and goodbye to Max Fried is what I got to say. So that's going to wrap up all the sports talk today. We talked about the Carolina Panthers. They lost last week. They lost this week. I went to the game today. That's why the podcast is late, but had a great time. And hopefully you are enjoying this podcast later in the day. We talked about the Charlotte Hornets, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Braves, and then all the MLB news that has been popping off. And that is going to wrap up the miscellaneous talk section. And in turn, that's going to wrap up the entire Dep Lewis Show, episode 107. So just thank you for listening to another episode. I'd like to reiterate some promotional talk from the beginning to really help me out. Please follow Dep Lewis Show everywhere. Full episodes of Dep Lewis Show available anywhere you can find a podcast. So find the best place to subscribe and listen weekly. Places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon Music, and more. Twitch.tv/Dep Lewis Show is a great place to follow. If you'd like to support the show even further than just listening, Patreon.com/Dep Lewis Show is available if you'd like to subscribe monthly. And then also Venmo at Dep Lewis Show is available any day, anytime, for any amount if you'd like to support the show. And just thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week out there in the world, whatever you're doing. Whenever you're listening to this, maybe you're listening to it in real time. Maybe you're listening to it in the far-flung future. I hope you're doing great out there in the world. I hope you're doing okay. I hope this podcast is informing you and entertaining you. And I hope you come back for another episode of Dep Lewis Show. And just thank you for listening. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being you. And I'll see you next week for another episode of Dep Lewis Show. See you then.